Why do they keep the aliens in a Faraday-shielded environment? Because they have a tendency to disappear right through walls. And if you can prevent the transmission of electromagnetic energy, you can stop them from doing it.
I'd explain some of the visual glances of these things. They seem to just simply disappear. They're gone.
Exactly. I mean, they're appearing out of nowhere and then disappearing right in front of people. And that's why scientists who have no axes to grind, they just say that it doesn't make that much sense. And also, if they're just trying to observe us, to take account of what we're doing on Earth, I mean, after a while, after so many months or years or centuries, it kind of gets old. They either would take us over, or they've already discovered all the information they need to know about Earthlings, and so they're just going to take us over or make first contact and just sort of do what they need to do next. To endlessly observe us, it doesn't make any sense.
El 13 de mayo del 2009 pudo captar a esta nave que ya habíamos visto anteriormente con lo que parece ser la silueta de dos de sus ocupantes. Tiene una cámara de gran potencia que le amplifica hasta 200 veces la imagen, lo cual le permite captar a estos objetos a cierta distancia y observarlos con toda claridad. Vea usted cómo incluso puede captar los detalles más pequeños, los colores, y este hecho tan significativo, que hay una compuerta abierta y que los seres que están ahí parecen estarse asomando.
Какой-то скалы, как будто нет, ну каких-то как пешок, как сгорел. Летает недавно. Так далеко он же не может бесконечно. Смотри, там какие-то искры горят, теперь от него отлетают.
They appear to have the ability to materialize and dematerialize without a trace. One of the great mysteries of the UFOs isn't seeing them, is trying to figure out where are they when you don't see them. Some people say, well, they're from another galaxy. Most physicists will debunk that for lots of reasons. They seem to pose that way, but for lots of, if they came, you know, if there are that many coming from another galaxy, you think you'd sense the traffic. We'll come to that with some more reasonable explanations, and you're going to discover the two top researchers in the last century, really, is Jacques Vallée, France, and J. Allen Hynek, the American. Now, J. Allen Hynek was head of astronomy at Cornell, and he set out to debunk this nonsense about UFOs, and he became one of the most ardent, competent, balanced researchers in the trade. J. Allen Hynek, he died a few years ago. Both of these respected researchers came to the conclusion that they're not intergalactic for lots of physics. There are a lot of physics rebuttals to that conjecture. They both argued that these things are demonic. Their term. They've written many, many books. You can check them out. These are not religious people. They're not people with any kind of personal agenda. But they came to the conclusion that these things, on the one hand, and by the way, we take for granted that we strip away the nonsense and the hoaxes, set that aside. There's tens of thousands of files you have to wallow through. When you cut through all that, there's still a core group, a substantial core group of real events that need explanation. And so on the one hand, they exhibit physical properties on the one hand. On the other hand, they also violate all physical laws. And so the conclusion that both J. Allen Hynek and Jacques Vallée and others have come to is that they're hyperdimensional, that somehow they come from another dimension periodically.
The next question. Now we're getting down to the juicy stuff. Aliens must be able to travel vast distances. Well, here's my favourite, the Next Generation Star Trek craft. But here we go. They've got to travel at warp speed. Warp is faster than light. Light speed is 300,000 kilometres per second, right? You've got to travel much faster than that to get around the universe. In fact, if Einstein's right, it'd actually be impossible to travel even at light speed. Just think about what I'm going to say for a minute, because it's a bit mind-bending. Because to travel at light speed, you require your mass becomes infinite, and you require an infinite amount of energy. You'd have to have all the available energy in the universe at your disposal to travel at light speed. Sounds freaky, but that's basically the problem. So they come up with ideas of warp space. They create bubbles in the space-time continuum and travel on those. And science fiction to the rescue. See, when they create that, you travel faster than warp, then you've got the trouble of all the occupants getting splattered on the walls and when they accelerate and all this type of stuff. But science fiction to the rescue again, you create inertial dampers. Heard those? Etc. But you know, it's estimated that there's 100,000 dust particles per cubic kilometre of space. And you know that an impact with one of those at light speed, or even, let's say, even 1/10 light speed, would be the equivalent of several tons of TNT going off in a spaceship. So then you've got to have machines and technology to be available to detect specks of dust in front of you, and so the whole thing really becomes impossible.
So these demons would make them then spiritual phenomenon, I would take it, right?
Yeah, I think when you look at it, I mean, there's certain characteristics that everyone will agree has been seen and demonstrated also by these UFOs, such as they penetrate the ground, they penetrate water, they disappear in front of people, they appear right in front of people. One person will see a UFO and the person next to them will not see the UFO. They change colors, sometimes only one accelerating. They change shape, they change size. Many people have made the comment that they seem like they're alive almost. And so these are all characteristics of something that's not a physical or material being or construction. It's got to be something that's a spiritual phenomenon with those kinds of characteristics.
Agreed. Somewhere between 1 and 3% of Americans claim that they have had an abduction experience. That's over 5 million people, or in that neighborhood. Not a few thousand deranged people, not a few, disaffected. This is, we'll talk a little more about this. This is a very, very disturbing phenomenon in the counseling profession. Now, part of the problem of the UFOs is they have some paradoxical behavior. On the one hand, they're seen by multiple competent witnesses. They are plotted on radar, sometimes multiple radars simultaneously. They leave tangible traces on the ground, sometimes radiation, evidence of burning and other things. So they are apparently real in the sense of being physical, on the one hand. There are photographs. Sometimes they show up on photographs, sometimes they don't. But here's the problem. While they seem to be tangible on the one hand, they exhibit behavior that can't possibly be physical. They can go in excess of 6,000 miles per hour without sonic booms. What on earth does that mean? I'd like to know how they do that trick. They've been plotted making right-angle turns at over 16,000 miles an hour. That defies the laws of physics. That's now perhaps the most disturbing thing of all. They appear to have the ability to materialize and dematerialize without a trace.